On Google, you want to be as professional as possible and you want to have as much credibility as possible because you are competing against people that are going for the same goal. But remember, people aren't on Facebook to buy things.
This is the PMP Industry Insider Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome out to another episode of the PMP Industry Insider Podcast, where we take a look at what is changing in the pest and lawn industries, and we take you to the front lines to those that are driving those changes. I'm Donnie Shelton, owner of Triangle Home Services, which has Triangle Pest and Triangle Lawn. And with me is the notorious DG. You know, there's notorious BIG, and then there's notorious
DG.
DG. What's your middle initial?
S.
DSG. Yeah, the notorious DSG. That does have kind of ring. All right, so checklist for now is yourself, our sponsors, our topic, and our very special guest.
Sure.
Got it?
So good morning. We're recording this in the morning. Dan Gordon, PCL Bookkeepers, M&A Specialists, CFO Services for the lawn and pest industry, as well as exit planning services. And if you like what you hear each week, please consider supporting our sponsors. If you're in need of marketing, that would be Coalmarch by WorkWave. To learn more about that, it would be coalmarch.com. If you want pest-specific insurance for workers' comp, general liability, auto, that would be PestSure, and that's pestsure.com. And if you're interested in joining a industry peer group, please listen to episode 136 for our interview with David Billingsley on that. He is our facilitator, or go visit us at pmpindustryinsider.com/peer groups. Today, our very special group is a member of one of our peer groups and has been for several years, and is just so much fun to work with and to listen to the ideas. We had his partner on a while back, but today I want to introduce James, and I'm going to botch your last name, James, because I always do. Szojka.
No, you hit the nail right in the head. Hey, guys.
All right.
Wow.
Hey, good. That is Szojka. Szojka.
A Hungarian living in Canada doing lawn care. Doesn't get more crazy than that.
Yeah. All those, yeah. So anyway, the reason that we asked James to be on is at our last peer group meeting, he was talking about some of the things that he's doing on Facebook. And to me, Facebook is an outstanding medium for like business to business. Like there's a bunch of pest groups and lawn groups and whatnot. But for B2C, I always felt like, geez, could you scale around it? Could you build something? And James was talking about what his firm Yard Dawgs does. And let me read his bio. I want you to know that I'm reading this, Donnie, because, so
because no James one could ever tell when you're reading. I'm
right. James is the co-founder of Yard Dawgs Lawn Care out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Founded in 2014, Yard Dawgs currently operates 15 trucks out of Calgary and are opening up 2 more branches in 2025 in Red Deer and Edmonton for all of you Canadians, because I have no idea where Red Deer is. But outside of being obsessed with the customer experience, Yard Dawg prides themselves on having a strong sales process, online marketing strategy that keeps growth exponential, and it does. You may recognize the name from episode 124 when we talked about HubSpot with James's partner, Liam. And today we're going to be talking about what Yard Dawg, specifically James, is doing with Facebook to gain hundreds of new clients. And it's pretty exciting stuff. So welcome, James.
No, thank you so much for having me, guys. I've been a big fan of the podcast for a while, and I found some really cool things using Meta ads this year, both for Facebook and Instagram. What's kind of cool is you post it on Meta. They do all the work for you, essentially. Think of a company that spends billions of dollars a year to make it as easy as possible for guys like you and I to market on their platforms. Their biggest competitor is Google for this kind of stuff, so they have to bring an A game. So once you can figure these out, it is a very much plug-and-play system that does very, very great things, but you have to know what you're doing is the big kicker. Because if you don't, you can spend a lot of money very quickly going in the wrong direction.
Well, I will tell you, I'm excited to hear from you, James, because when we had Liam on, which, by the way, I'm taking notes. I took a lot of notes when Liam was on, and I still to this day I start laughing every time I talk about. I remember his idea about the contest, and everyone was second place. Like I not stop
That's the
laughing when you
greatest.
tell that story.
That is the greatest story.
To this
So
day, I'm like,
we did
what a
that.
great-
We did that one again, actually. So when we
Okay.
first did it, it was a Black Friday special. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, what you do essentially is you send a big email to all your customers that says something along the lines of Black Friday giveaway, no purchase required, enroll to win. And the first place prize, we just take one of our lawn care programs. So we did our St. Bernard package, for example, because all of our packages are named after dogs because we're the yard dogs. Package number 2 is $100 off of the package, so $100 off the St. Bernard, and then package 3, something simple like a $20 Tim Hortons gift card. Everyone enrolls, and then you do your draw for the first place winner, the St. Bernard program. You do your draw for the third place winner, that Tim Hortons gift card, and then everybody else wins second place, $100 off. You call people, you let them know, and you wouldn't believe how effective it is. Like, James, I've never won anything before in my life. This is amazing. So we did it again this past Easter. We had a 2 years kind of span that we separated through, and the magic is still alive. Still worked well. You just have to make sure you're doing your HubSpot list exclusions to make sure that people aren't winning back to back second place. And yes, a couple of those did happen, so you gotta be ready for those.
And what were the comments? Were they friendly or?
No, it's just people kind of like giggling, like, "Oh, guys, like
Again,
you fooled me
I
once,
wanted it
fooled me
again."
twice." Every now and then you get someone that's saying this. There's no way you guys are allowed to do this. But honestly, for the thousands of emails that come out, if you get 1 or 2 of those, I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, I don't want to derail the conversation here. I was looking through my notes before our episode, and I just started laughing. I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this conversation." So anyway, we're here to talk about Meta and Facebook.
Yep.
We're glad that you're here, and I legitimately I'm going to take a lot of notes because this is something that I have yet, me personally, been able to crack or really figure out how to use it effectively. So I'm very interested. I'm sure our listeners are very interested to hear what you guys are doing, what's working, what's not working, and then kind of talk through kind of like where you started, which is how do you get to a place where you really know how it works? And so, yeah. So with that, Dan, do you want to get us rolling?
Well, before we start rolling, can you explain Meta? Is there a website? Is there tell me about how that all works.
Most of you, odds are you have a personal Facebook account, where you're
Yep.
posting your pictures, wasting time watching videos, etc. So all personal accounts can actually go create a business account. And before you do ads, I 100% recommend you use the Facebook business account that you're currently using for your lawn care or pest service industry, essentially. So I'm not posting these ads from James Szojka. I'm posting these from Yard Dawgs Lawn Care. So you want to do it from your business page. And what's kind of nice about that, if you've already had a business page for a while, you probably have some Facebook reviews that have been popping on there too. Make sure that your profile is somewhat up to date. Like, we're not posting on a Facebook page very much, honestly, but make sure that there's at least a post this year with a bit of engagement there too. So you start by posting from essentially your business entity, Dan, and then from there, it's as easy as press the button, create ad, and then that's where I can really start into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. So tell us, okay, before we do that, I guess I'm totally out of order, right, Donnie? We're going to backtrack and go. First, let's start off with your background. Tell us how you co-founded a lawn.
Ladies and gentlemen, professionals here at work, just please.
Yes.
All right.
The preparation is unbelievable.
Yes. Okay. So James, I'm going to drive a little bit here. So let's start with your background, and then we're going to jump into, we're going to create our Facebook account and then kind of go from that. So let's start with your background.
Sure thing. From there. Yeah, I won't bore you too much because I know you guys want to get right to the Facebook stuff. So yeah, my name is James. I started Yard Dawgs Lawn Care 10 years ago with Liam. We were just students in university. We are going after our first year university. We both looked at each other saying, "Oh shoot, we have this tuition bill that we got to figure it out. Why don't we start a lawn care company and just see what happens?" And we heard of this machine called an aerator. We didn't know what it did. We didn't know how to do it, but we know people would pay $50 a house roughly to do this kind of thing. So we bought this machine, not knowing what we're doing. And we just started going door to door. No experience, no business license, just 2 eager guys ready to go. And we were so bad at door-to-door sales. It was awful. We talked too much. People shut the doors in our faces all the time, but we were very eager to learn. And every single time we got a no, we saw it as a slowly getting closer to a yes and knowing what to say and what not to say. So we built our aeration, and we were 19, we had nothing to lose. So we were pumping out 14-hour days, just going door to door with this machine. Liam was doing the aerations, and I was always going to be 4 or 5 houses ahead trying to get the next sale so that we can keep that aerator going. Eventually, people started to ask us, hey, do you guys do, power raking? And when someone's offering to give you money and you're just starting, you say yes. And they'll say, how much? You say 120. They say when. You say 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then you go home to YouTube and say, what is power raking? And you figured out what you just agreed to do. And that is for our first 5 years of business. That's what we did. And it got out of hand. We were aerating, power raking, window washing, gutter clean, all that fun stuff. Like if you needed your toilet scrubbed 45 minutes away, I'd be there in 50. Like we just did whatever it took. But there came a point where obviously we were doing everything for anyone and not being known for anything. So 5 years ago, I had just got married. Liam was getting married. Like we had to essentially figure out, are we going to do this thing full time or not? And we decided, let's go into this full time. So we just graduated school now. Liam's a mechanical engineer. I have a BCom in marketing. And we said, you know what, let's just give it one full time year, but we got to pick a niche. I know you guys say niche, but I say niche. So we decided, let's take our 5 best services and they're most profitable, best margin, least amount of competition that we can truly become the best at. So we chose to make lawn care programs based on fertilizer, weed control, aeration, seeding, and soil enhancements. And that's all we're going to do, and everything else we're going to say no to. 5 years later, we're running 15 trucks doing those services just in this one city. We are still just scraping the iceberg in this single city, but it's really due to we've originally grew our business from, of course, great word of mouth, but Google ads and having very solid SEO is how we really started to build a business. But now that we've cracked into Facebook ads, this is going to be a driver to get us to the next 15 trucks as soon as possible.
So let's talk about that. Generally speaking, we have really struggled with Facebook because, when you look at consumer behavior, and it's changing, by the way. And so when I say this is not, I'm talking on kind of the way things used to be. Generally speaking, someone was just like, okay, I've got, and again, my background is pest. We do lawn now. We're a pest control company that does lawn, and there's lawn care companies that do pest. But our business model has been very reactive. And so someone sees something that prompts an issue, which typically would prompt a search, which would then prompt an ad or, an SEO listing or whatever. But people, generally speaking, would not, like Meta, Facebook would not be the primary place they would go that would, once they got that prompt. And so I'm just curious to hear, are you guys using it more for like reactive type ads, or using it more for branding and then kind of funneling in that way?
So the big thing you have to do is you have to track where these leads are coming from, because otherwise you don't know. Like, did they see my Facebook ad, but then they Googled yard dogs and they went to my SEO page? Like, those are the kind of things you really want to get dialed in so that you're not essentially cannibalizing your different types of marketing ventures. But long story short, essentially, is that these Facebook ads that we do, they're disruptive. They are going into somebody's Facebook feed, their Instagram feed, and we're actually not competing with other lawn care companies in this case. We're competing with their best friends, and we're competing with their family, pictures of their dogs and their children, their grandchildren. So we need to really stand out because the stakes are very high. So first things first is that when you're first making a Facebook ad, you got to understand that this isn't just a tent ad like a Google ad would be, where you're just trying to be the number one person that pops up. If somebody so happens to go to Google and say lawn care Calgary, for example, this is completely different. What you do want to do right away is you want to set your demographics so that you can have Facebook and Meta do this work for you to find as similar clients as possible to the ones that you already have. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by uploading. There's going to be a section when you're making your ads. It's going to ask for a lookalike audience. This is where you're actually going to upload your entire current client list you have into Meta so it can look at people's names, emails, addresses, all that stuff. So it can start to ask itself, okay, James currently services these type of people. I'm going to help him find people like this. And then from there, you're going to choose specific demographics. So you're going to get very granular. You don't have to go overboard, but you do want to make sure that these are going to single family detached homes. not people that typically live in a townhouse. And Facebook has a lot of this data. Like, they are a data machine. They're not going to have everything, but they have more than you do. So then you're going to say things. I don't want 16-year-olds clicking on my ads. In fact, I don't even want 22-year-olds. I want the odds that they own a house probably is the age of 30.
Right? Yeah.
So I want to go 30 to roughly 65. Because if they're older than 65, again, who knows if they're going to know how to submit the form properly and all that kind of stuff there too. So I like
how old are you, Dan? Before I just want to get
60.
clarification.
60. I still know how to submit the form.
And you still qualify for a lawn care program from Yard Dogs. So that's good news.
I won second place.
Well, you won second place, and I'm opening up that New Jersey branch. So there you go.
By the way, we'll talk about the peer group and the effect that's had on you later. But let's So continue on, because I always thought that Facebook was a very cheap way to bring in leads, just not a scalable way. But you're finding it to be scalable. So continue on.
So another thing we have to remember is that Facebook is very visual. The majority of people right now, and the platform's changed a lot. It used to be a place where people are just sharing pictures and status updates with their friends and family. But now it's kind of like a lot of these things are going towards, they're kind of adopting the TikTok model. They are posting reels. So there's Instagram reels and there's Facebook reels. And a lot of people spend a lot of time watching reels of people they don't even know. The platform's changed a lot. So you have to remember this is going to be very visual heavy. And I personally love using video for these types of ads. I've done a few different picture ads, but honestly, the ones I'm going to be talking about today are the video ones, because those by far have done more superior on an ROI perspective than my image ads. Now, Google is very text heavy. It's just about making your company show up as a relevant option for that person's search inquiry. But Facebook, we have to compete with the fact that the person's watching these videos of these influencers and funny things that are captivating their attention. So you have to compete with that. So I break down a good Facebook ad into about 5 different things. The first thing we're going to focus on, if it's a video Facebook ad, is going to be a hook. I need to catch this person's attention. I need to hijack their attention. And now we're going to make some assumptions here. I assume that I set up my Facebook ad properly so that my ad is going to qualified people. And there's going to be a lot of people that aren't qualified to get these, but it still makes up for it because, like you said, Dan, these are cheaper ads. These are cheaper leads essentially than you're going to get from Google. Because if someone went lawn care Calgary, they are probably a qualified lead, and they click on your ad, it's going to cost a lot. But these might go to people that may not be qualified, so it's reflected in the price essentially. But before I get into the 5 things that make it the Facebook ad, I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about the ROI, just so that people can kind of understand what kind of experiences I had. So timing is everything for Facebook ads, and you want to make sure that these ads are going out during your lawn care tsunami. And when I say lawn care tsunami, that means the peak of your season, the tidal wave of leads where you cannot keep up to the incoming leads and telephone calls that are coming in. Those are the times you run your Facebook ads, because it is probably the time that the need is highest in your local market. So the snow is melted, the birds are chirping, the sun is shining, and those dandelions start popping out. That is probably when your lawn care tsunami happens. And that's when you should actually allocate probably 80% of your marketing budget that you have for Facebook ads during this short window, because this is when you're going to be able to get the leads for as cheap as possible. And I can see through my HubSpot account that's connected to Facebook ads, I'm just going through the different dates of when we're running the Facebook ads. And the further we get away from that lawn care tsunami, which typically lasts about 15 to 20 days as the peak, the more expensive the leads are getting and the less qualified they get to. So we want to make sure that we are going all out and making hay when the sun is shining. So, for example, in May alone, one of my best, and I say one of my ads because this is testing. Marketing is the same thing as testing essentially, and you are doing a ton of split A/B tests because you don't know what ad is going to work. But what's cool about Facebook is that you can do a lot of duplicates on your campaigns, and you can just try a whole bunch of different things to see which one is going to stick, because you never know what's going to work until it does. So one of my ads, one of the better ones, in 1 month, it got 570,000 impressions. It got 4,000 clicks, which made me 502 leads, which gave me 112 customers. Wow. That's one of them. And I paid on average, it gives me the breakdown through HubSpot of like how much I paid per click, which was $2.45. Gave me the breakdown of how much I paid for a lead, which was $19.90. And then it gave me how many customers I got, which was 112, and I paid $89.19 per customer. And the average customer, essentially, if I do my ROI, I end up spending about, on that single ad, I spent $9,989, and it made us $41,236 from that. So I want to track all these, because the ads that aren't doing numbers like that, after a few days, I'm actually pausing them. I want more money to go to the ones that are working. And for marketing, when it comes to Google ads and Facebook ads, I don't have a budget. I have an unlimited budget so long as there's an ROI. So if you had a vending machine that if you put $5 in and it pumped out $20, you can put as many fives as you can in that machine. There's no budget. You're going to sell your car. You're going to sell the shirt off your back to put more dollars into that vending machine. Sure. So that in May was an awesome single ad that we did. So when I said you want to test all these things, though, here are the 5 things that make up a really good Facebook ad. The first thing is the hook. What are we going to do to captivate that person's attention? So one thing that I did, there was a good trend going on that's called, it's a transition hook. So I don't know if you guys seen these, but it'd be like a guy driving on a motorbike, and then he flips because it's about to go into a huge accident, but then it pans over to me doing a somersault into a lawn. So the transition is very smooth. Or there's somebody getting hit by a bull, starting to fly, and then it transitions to me flying into one of my yard dogs trucks. And then I'll captivate their attention like, don't get knocked out by the dandelions this season, because Yard Dogs is offering $25 off of any of our lawn care programs so that your lawn can go from this to this. Check it out. So right there, that 5 seconds, that's my hook. I'm just trying to get that person's attention, and I do it from one of the viral trends that's going on, for example. So I worked with 7 different hooks. I had 7 different intros that I used that all led me to one single body. And that's the next section of the ad I want to talk about, the body. The body is the video that you film that's going to just talk about your company very quickly. I'm going to give a little bit of social proof. So I'm going to brag about my Google ads, for example. I'm going to brag about how long we've been in Calgary for, and I'm going to talk about my offer, which I'll get to in a little bit here. But the body is the one video that the 7 different hooks lead people towards. And each hook, by the way, is a different Facebook campaign, because I don't know which hook's going to do better. So I'm going to run them all at the same time. And the ones that are working, more money goes into those. The ones that aren't, we're going to cut it off. So we have our one body. Now the body goes.
Can I just interrupt you for one second?
Jump in, Dan.
So, okay. So we use HubSpot, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
What about for those who don't use HubSpot? Maybe they use Hootsuite or just go right to Facebook and do that. How easy is this to track, or is it not?
You know what? It's still very easy, because Meta has something called a business suite or an ad center where you can figure out all the numbers I'm talking about. It's just not laid out for you as such clean fashion. HubSpot makes it extremely easy for me to see which ads are performing well versus not. And then from there, right through HubSpot, I'm starting my sales process and all those things there too. So I like that it's all very much connected, but you can do this without a HubSpot account. You can track this all through your business suite through Meta, and you just got to do a little bit of the math yourself. So for example, to calculate the ROI on an advertisement, you're just going to take the revenue received minus the amount that you've spent on that ad, divided by the amount of that you've spent on that ad, and then times by 100. That will give you like your percentage of ROI.
Cool. Okay. So there's the hook, and then there's the body. Anything else about the body before we go to number 3?
The body is just sort of like the longest part of your ad, where you're talking about so for example, I'm going to tell you about ours. So I have the hook that brought them to the body, and the body's going to say, hi there, my name is James with Yard Dogs Lawn Care. To celebrate our 10th year of doing business in Calgary, we are giving away $25 off any lawn care program. Or again, we're going to be starting to test offers here. So I might say, or we're giving a free aeration with the purchase of any lawn care program. Now, there's no catch and there's no risk, because we have over 5,000 residential lawns that we take here in Calgary, and we have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews. So that is the body. And now in there is the third component, the offer. I'm going to test probably 2 to 3 offers. You don't want to get too crazy here, because obviously on Real Green, you now got to set up the discounts, the discount codes, and you have to make sure this is scalable for your sales team. We don't want to overcomplicate this. A good saying is simple scales and fancy fails. So let's keep this simple as possible. If you only want to run 1 or 2 offers, I think that's actually very fair for a split test still, and just make sure your sales team is on the same page. So I'm going to give them 2 offers. Let's say I'm doing $25 off any lawn care program, or I'm doing a free aeration with the purchase of any lawn care program. So I'm going to have those 2 different offers tied into the body, which is also connected to 7 different hooks. So if you think about it, if I have 1 body and I have 2 offers and I have 7 hooks, I now have 7 times 1 times 2. That is how many ads I have right now. That's 14 different ads that I'm running on.
So just so these are all videos. Tell me about the cost to produce all of these videos, and some of them are going to be bust, right? So how are you doing that?
So a lot of it's going to be time. You got to find that one person in your organization that's going to be good on a camera. That might be you. That might be the 20-year-old sales guy that's just a good talker, essentially.
So you're not hiring a service. You guys are just doing them.
Well, I'm the one doing it, essentially. I do have this one guy that used to work with us. He has a little bit of he has like this video business where he'll record and do some posts on social media, and he runs my YouTube channel too. I have him. He films with me, and it takes us about a day. Probably about 4 dedicated hours, honestly, of just filming all these different things and trying them out and then editing it. But you can get all this footage and content done for a day of your time and probably about $500 to $2,000 of edits and production. And he'll give you a Google Drive list, essentially folder of all the different creatives you now have.
That's this guy or anyone. I mean, this guy's on location for you, right?
He's on location, but everyone has a local videographer in their area and stuff that you're just going to be paying hourly to do this kind of stuff there too.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So we have the hook, the body, and offer. Already we have 14 different ads are running. So now we have the fourth component, the call to action. It has to be a very clear call to action. Now, I've tried a lot of different things on Facebook because when you're first making your Facebook ad, it's going to ask you, hey, what kind of ads are we going to be making for you? Like, what is the end goal here? Do you want them to call your office? Do you want them to visit your website? What are you trying to do here? They have one in particular that has worked the best for me, and it's called lead generation. I don't want people to have to leave Facebook to submit a form to Yard Dawgs. So I have it where if they click on the ad, it's right away going to pop up some fields. A call to action is going to be something along the lines of get started or get free quote, something like that. They're going to click that, and then the fields are going to pop up where it's the relevant information that I need from my sales team to essentially reach out to them and book them as a client. So that's going to be something along the lines of first name, last name. It's going to be their phone number, and it's going to be their email. Those are the most important things. But this is where you're starting to split test the CTAs. If you ask someone for their address, you might get a lot less submissions, but maybe they're a higher quality lead. Do you want higher quality leads, or do you just want more volume so you have more opportunities? You need to make that call, and you need to actually just test different CTAs to see which one works for you. In my experience, I actually don't ask for the address because it just makes too many people keep, never mind, and move on. Yeah. So we get their first name, last name, email, and phone number. And yes, you noticed that I said I had 502 leads, and I only booked 112 customers. And I have a pretty savvy sales team here. We're really good, but we only closed roughly about 20% of them. That is because you're going to get a lot of, unfortunately, garbage leads. But that's okay because it still end up only being a $90 CAC, which is the cost of acquiring the customer.
Yeah, that's still good numbers. It's worth the effort.
Totally worth the effort.
Yeah.
And now I have 400 people that's saved in HubSpot that we're going to hit up next year when we're doing our, these are people that we can call in March to get our new salespeople into the rhythm of testing how to talk on the phone and stuff. We're always building our database because we all have those status 6s on Real Green, which used to be a client and they no longer are. We have the status 4s that are past estimate rejects. All of those, you want to build up this database so that you always have a new round of people for your salespeople to call. Okay, so we have the hook, we have the body, we have the offer, and we have the call to action. The last thing, and probably the least important part actually is the description. It's when they actually click on the see more section and all the words pop up. It is the words they are reading. Now, if they watch the video, they don't necessarily need this, but a lot of people might be on their phone on mute. So then they're going to press see more, have a good description that talks just slightly about your company, gives a little bit of social proof, but then essentially outlays the offer in text so that it prompts them to press sure, get quote, or get started. And then from there, this goes from marketing to sales, and now it's up to your sales department to essentially close these leads.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, can you walk through? You talked a lot about the kind of the types of videos, and you also talked about the timing of it. Are there particular videos that you have found that end up getting more leads? Like, there's entertainment, and then there's things that actually make the phone ring. Have you seen anything or done something where you felt like it got you more actual contacts versus just, and you said it before, people just putting in their name or whatever. But does that make sense what I'm asking?
It does. So one thing that's very different from like Facebook and Instagram versus Google. On Google, you want to be as professional as possible and you want to have as much credibility as possible because you are competing against people that are going for the same goal. But remember, people aren't on Facebook to buy things. They're on Facebook because it's the end of their day. They've already had a full day of work. They just want to like unwind and quite frankly, just like, just waste time. They just want to just like turn the brain off for a little bit.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, the more professional, I've done a lot of different things. The more professional I make my posts on Facebook and Instagram, the worse they do. This is the opportunity to let the creative juice in, and you want to be funny. You want to be quick because remember, they are scrolling on their reels. You got 3 seconds to captivate their attention, and you're competing against, cats wearing like tutus. Like you have all these things that you're trying to compete with. So you need to stand out. So the funnier, quicker to the point, and the more sassy or not sassy, savvy you make these ads, the better they're going to do for you. And that's why I find videos way outperform pictures and pictures dramatically outperform words when we're with Instagram
your
and Facebook.
lead conversion and your closing rate are way down, but who cares because it's cheap enough that your cost per lead, cost per sale is
precisely
right
But I noticed that the cost per sale goes up significantly once we leave that lawn care tsunami because the people are now less qualified because you get them to laugh, they're looking at it, and then they say, you know what? My lawn kind of looks like crap right now. Like, yeah, like the snow just melted and it looks awful out there. Or those clovers and those dandelions are really coming in strong. Maybe I will get a free quote from Yard Dog. Sure, submit it to the forum. And what's cool is that they don't leave Facebook. They just submit the form and they can keep scrolling through their reels. So a couple things to note here. The time that people are on Facebook and Instagram isn't usually business hours. They're doing this at the end of their day or quite frankly, first thing in the morning. So you have a lot of leads that come in between 9 and 11 p.m. and you have a lot of leads that come in between 6 and 8 a.m. Now, as we all know, one of the most important parts of sales is speed to lead. The time in which it takes you to call a new lead and the odds that you get them on the phone drastically increases the chance you're going to get a hold of them, which drastically increases your close rate because we can't close a lead we can't talk to. So one thing I did not try is that actually having a salesperson work those hours from 9 to 11 p.m. or perhaps 6 to 8 a.m. We always did our typical 8 a.m. until about 6 p.m. during the lawn care tsunami. But I do wonder, hey, if I would have actually just extended those hours and called the person, would they answer the phone because they're at home and they don't want to because it's at the end of the day? Or maybe they would have answered the phone during that time. I don't know. And that's a new thing that I'm going to test for the upcoming 2025 season now.
So I have another question. In general, lawn care marketing is different than pest control marketing.
I was just going to go there. Go ahead.
Yeah. And, when you have lawn, everyone has a lawn. I say everyone, obviously in our target market. And it's not a fast sale, right? It's kind of a like, oh, yeah, I should do that. Whereas like pest control is very demand driven. Do you think there's an opportunity for pest control on Facebook? And we obviously have a season. I say we,
but it's a much longer season.
Yeah,
it's not the
pop,
sprint
right?
That is, that lawn care does.
So I'm just I'm genuinely interested what your opinion is on that. Because for a service where yes, everyone has it and in your branding and it's like, oh yeah, this is the time, that makes sense. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a place here when someone has, I guess you have these customers who like, oh, I've seen some ants and, or I've seen this in my yard versus the person that was sleeping and a roach fell in their mouth last night. That's a totally different, you know what I'm saying? They are way, way different in terms of how they're going to come out and contact a company. So getting back to the question is there an opportunity for pest control here? If so, what do you think that is?
So if I ran a pest control company, I would really see this as my way to get my foot in their door for when a problem is going to happen in the future. So I, instead of focusing on a core offer, which might be my bed bug, extermination package, I'm going to focus on a lead magnet. A lead magnet is something that we're going to put out there, usually a much lower cost to our company, but it still gives them a lot of value. So for example, that might be everyone that you're reaching out to. Yes, they might not have currently a termite infestation, but they probably have a house, which is going to be susceptible to an infestation in the future. So putting out some sort of a lead magnet reach out to James Pest Control, because we're giving away a free foundation inspection so that there's no current issues. And when there is an issue, a company that you can like and trust. I would try to get a whole bunch of heavily discounted or potentially even free types of things where you're going to collect that person's name, number, email, and phone number. You're going to go out, you're going to do a free service, and you're going to make a great first impression so that when those chinch bugs come, when those grubs arrive, they are thinking, oh shit, no, I'm using Yard Dogs or James Pest Control, because those were the guys who I already know. You got your magnet on their fridge or whatever. You are now first in mind, and now you're going to even go to Google and go get a quote.
There's a pest control company in New Jersey, and I'm on their feed somehow, and they give tickets to, if Bruce Springsteen is in town, right? So they get everybody to sign up to win these tickets, which is exactly what you're saying, and they're really, really good prizes, and so whether they need pest or not, now you get their contact information and you can market to them, but it remains to be seen whether they can convert them, right? Going to a Bruce Springsteen concert is a little bit different than getting your bugs taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I envisioned a video of maybe Dan in a tutu running around a yard spraying for pests, right? That could be
seriously
a transitional hook. Right?
And don't
call me transitional,
my
friend.
Exactly. Don't fool around treating your termites. Just something there to make them say, oh, no, I need the pros. It's time when this happens. I'm going to need the pros. And don't underestimate that this is going to your local market. You're not spamming these ads across your state, province, or country. This is going very much to your municipality. So when I got 570 impressions, I was the local lawn care celebrity in town. So I just moved in May 1st, I moved to a new home. All of my neighbors saw me and they knew who I was. You're the guy from the lawn care social media. I'd be at Starbucks getting a coffee, and the barista would look back at me 3 times, say, are you that lawn care guy? And when I was actually wearing my green Yard Dog shirt and I'm walking through Safeway getting groceries, I'd be stopped at least once a visit saying, hey, I love your Facebook ads and stuff. So
that's like when Donnie when Donnie walks around Pest World or any of these state associations, I know that voice. I know that voice. He's a rock star.
Exactly. So what's the ROI on that? We don't know, but it's all about, that's where the brand awareness really comes in, even for the people that aren't just submitting a form. Who knows, maybe in 2025, when they'll see those dandelions pop in, they're going to think, oh, I remember that lawn care video we saw. That was hilarious. I had people subscribing to the Yard Dogs Instagram page, which I don't really promote at all. I got 200 subscribers in a month just because I had these ads going out, and people these are hilarious. And they just follow the page, hoping to see some more of those things. So there's a lot of ROIs we can't track sometimes, but they may have value in the future.
James, this has been fantastic. I took a bunch of notes, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to do some more research now. Anything you can think of, just hey, this is, if you want to get started, here's some resources you should go check out, or how you get started. Anything you want to add for that for our listeners?
Absolutely.
Any books you've read, or articles, or blogs that you subscribe to? Or...
So a big thing is that what I'll do for you, for your show notes, guys, I'm going to send you a few links to the actual ads I ran for Yard Dogs. So I'll send those to you so they can click it. And it's going to bring them right to the actual ad on Instagram or Facebook so they can watch it and see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm also going to give you a link to a YouTube video I made that broke down everything we talked about today's video in a 8-minute YouTube video, essentially, for people to go enjoy. But honestly, going to YouTube and writing down how to do Facebook lead generation ads will be a great place to start, because that's where I started too. Yeah. The problem with the book side of things, Dan, is that this has all changed a lot,
Right.
Facebook and
It
Instagram
changes
wasn't a
constantly.
video platform 3 years ago, but now it
As soon
is.
as the
So
book comes out, it changes.
exactly, it's irrelevant by that point. So just staying on top with YouTube and using YouTube as a source for a lot of these things too. And remember, 80% of your budget should be allocated for your lawn care tsunami. So the ads that are working should get 80% of your budget, and the time that people are buying lawn care with you should get 80% of your budget for the actual marketing expense. And there shouldn't be a marketing budget for things that work. If you are getting customers for $90 a pop, go spend 20 grand, go spend 30 grand. It is totally worth it. Don't be stingy during this time because you got to make hay when the sun shines.
Yep. Dan, anything you want to mention or add before we finish out here? This has
No,
been fantastic. It's been amazing. It's been really good.
It's been outstanding. I think that this is terrific, and we'll have you back and see if we can put some pest control Facebook marketing together.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that
real quickly though. So, James, talk about how we met real quickly and what. Because we're constantly promoting our peer groups, but talk about that just for a minute.
Absolutely. So Yard Dawgs in the past 5 years has grown exponentially. And during, I think, 3 of those 5 years, we have been in a peer group. And now peer groups are by far the best way to shorten the learning curve for what you're doing. Think about it. You're going to meet with 5 to 8 other businesses that are in the same industry as you, but in a completely different area of the USA or Canada. So you're not competing with each other. This is where we meet twice a year and we spill all the beans. What is working? What is not working? Because what's going to work for you probably could work for me in different contexts and stuff there too. And it gets you access to people. So like before our peer group, for example, one big thing that you'll remember, Dan, when you guys met with us in Banff, we didn't know what our numbers meant. Like a P&L, a balance sheet, we thought that was just like the fancy terms accountants throw at you to charge you more money. But no, it was so important. And like it was by having peer groups. It's by having the peer group and access to the guys where like now I can just go call an email like a $13 million lawn care company and the CEO answers and talks to me for an hour. They're very generous with the time. The more you give to your peer group, the more you get back. That is invaluable. Like the learning curve, you can spend 30 years figuring out yourself. Or you can figure it out in 2 years by working with some people that have already done it in your local market. And they're going to learn as much from you as you're going to learn from them because we all have different walks of life. So, peer groups are, I had to break it down to the one thing that has changed our business to help us grow from like 1 truck to 15 is having access to people that have already done it and are willing to share. And a peer group does that.
Yeah.
Agreed. To be a little self-serving, our peer groups, what do you think?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, because you need someone to like to organize things because we meet twice a year in person. And then we usually do a once a quarter Zoom call together. But then we have like a base camp where we can go. If I have a question today about anything, I'm going to post on base camp. And I know with high certainty that within 12 hours, I'm going to have 1 to 5 other business owners give me their opinion on the matter or say, oh, like you guys are looking for an awesome way to actually organize your SEO, use this guy. I've tried 5 guys. This is the only guy that works for me. Right there, I just saved tens of thousands of dollars not having to go try different SEO companies because I know that it works for them. It's probably going to work for me.
Right.
Yep.
Like that is so valuable. And now I have on my phone, I have at least 8 contacts that I can call anytime and talk to them about a real problem that they can refer to. Oh, peer groups are like everything. Like if you're not in a peer group, it's costing you millions of dollars a year.
Agreed.
Well, that's a good testimonial. So anyway, go ahead with your closing, Donnie.
James, this has been fantastic. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm sure our listeners are going to get a lot from what you just had to say. Again, I took a ton of notes. And so just a reminder that all the resources and topics that we talked about today are available on the podcast website. Just take a look over on pmpindustryinsider.com. Take a look under show notes. And as Dan mentioned, if you're interested in a peer group, I think we got some data up there and a way for you to figure out that as well. And as always, we are going to post some of the things that James talked about on this episode, and just to get access to his YouTube video that he talked about.
I'll give you my YouTube channel too. I post a lot of this kind of stuff on YouTube all the time.
That'd be great. And we always ask that if you enjoyed the show, just give us a nice rating review. If you have complaints, pass those over to Dan. And with that, we'll sign it off. We'll see y'all next time. Take care.
Thank you.